the United Arab Emirates, celebrating its 49th National Day. The next 50 years starts here. Happy UAE National Day.
The sports scene in the UAE has been growing exponentially over the past couple of years, and we have an insider from the sports scene right here in the UAE. Her name is Amal Murad, and she is not a stranger to Pulse 95. She's a coach, athlete, and parkour expert. How are you doing, Amal?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. I've been doing great. Thank you for asking.
It was great. It's great seeing you again, and happy National Day.
Happy National Day. I'm so excited.
It is, although the circumstances are, unpleasant, but it is a very pleasant day, and I'm hoping that everybody is enjoying it, including yourself and your family. So tell us more about the sports scene in the UAE and how are you involved in it?
So, a lot of things have changed throughout the years. When I first started, it was almost 5 to 6 years ago, when I decided to actually pursue sports more seriously. And I remember I was one of the few ladies who actually took sports to be a career and not just a hobby. And things have changed so much in a good way, where I can name minimum like 15 girls that are taking this much more seriously. And it's so much more about like society and how the society accepts sports so much more now than before.
Yeah.
But when you come to think about it, sports has always been part of our nature. When we were kids, we used to play in the neighborhood barefoot. It isn't something that's new to who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I feel like this is slowly changing with the younger generation. Now the kids are more involved with computers, more involved with technology. So it's up to us to kind of bridge that gap, I feel, between, technology, but also sports and getting people to stay active.
And how are you bridging the gap in the UAE? What are the things you're involved in? Because you said parkour expert, and I'm thinking, wow, mashallah, everybody knows what parkour is, but parkour expert in the UAE, and she's a woman as well.
I think the first thing that I feel is super important is to have conversations with people. It's one thing to have a social media account and just posting like cool stunts. It's another thing where you have to educate people about different sports that are in the region. Because back in the day, I only thought 3 sports existed in Dubai, for example.
Yeah.
I just thought it was volleyball, basketball, football. I didn't think about anything else. And now you have netball, you have table tennis, you have people who are taking these sports so much more serious. I know a lot of girls who are into fencing now,
Wow.
Things that are not the norm or not the conventional, what we thought what sports is. And that's where I come in, and I'm introducing my own sport, which is parkour. And it's so important to kind of like also remind people that not everything has to be in the Olympics for you to participate or want to get active. So sometimes I have people getting their kids to some of the classes, and they say, oh, but I rather them go to gymnastics because there's a future. And I was like, again, why are we putting so much pressure towards actually reaching somewhere when just entering a sport and the mindset of entering a sport changes your personality completely. So it's actually trying to get people to love movement more than the labels that come with actually achieving something. Like, I want to be a champion. Okay, but let's take a step back. Let's start enjoying movement, enjoying sports, and everything else comes afterwards. And little did I know that actually I will become someone who's well known in the society for a sport that isn't at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But suddenly, I don't know if you heard about the government games, but suddenly the government games, which was a competition that was held by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, where he made government entities compete in a parkour setting where you had to overcome obstacles. But so automatically I became an expert in a field that people were taking more seriously, because the government started acknowledging it and started realizing just how much of an impact the sports had on not only individuals, but also as groups that work together to achieve a goal.
I love that. The transformation that has occurred in the past couple of years. And do you think that the UAE is a ripe environment for this sort of thing, for the many changes that are happening in the sports world outside? And do you see it happening at a fast pace here? What do you see in the future? What do you envision?
I personally think that we still have a long way to go, to be honest, in terms of women's sports. I think for men, it's possibly a little bit more easier. But for women, it's each and every person that decides to take sports more seriously is doing so much. So even if you're one person, that one person will inspire someone else and will inspire someone else. So it's kind of like a ripple effect. And it's happening now. I feel like we're at the peak of it because surprisingly, I'm seeing so much more women coaches than male coaches right now that are in actually taking things more seriously, because I feel we have so much more to prove, I feel.
Yeah.
And we have so much more that we want to accomplish. We're hungry. And that's what I love about it, that we want to, I feel like we want to achieve more, and we want to be able to represent our countries on a global scale. So I feel like, especially now with Dubai Fitness Challenge, and especially with the growth that we've seen with people taking the initiative to get out there, even companies getting their basically giving their employees time to go to the gym. These miniature changes are going to do a big difference for the younger generation. So when they enter the workforce, when they enter that field where they have to choose what to end up pursuing, they will see that so much has been done before them, and so many other people have done it before, that it isn't as scary as when we first started.
And what legacy does Amal want to leave? Especially you're a mother as well. What legacy do you want to leave for Noura, your daughter, and all the little girls who are watching you?
I want them to explore all that is possible. I feel like that's something that I want my daughter to learn. A lot of people are telling me, oh, she's going to be the next parkour star. It's not up to me to choose what she loves. And I feel that's super important, because my mom is a fashion designer. I was nowhere near being a fashion designer, nor do I have the genetics for it. But I ended up pursuing sports, even though my mom is into more of like design. And I feel like if my daughter ends up choosing something a little different, as long as I know that she has the will to fight for something she loves, or that she wants to work hard for something that she's passionate about, I think I've done my job. But I don't want to put that pressure on her that I decide what she has to do in her life. I think it's up to her to figure that out, and I just need to be there to give her the tools to do that.
And what do you want to tell to all those little girls in the UAE? How do you become what you've become? How do you become successful in the sports field?
I think patience is super important. We're very much in a hurry, even when it comes to learning skills or to get fit. We're too much in a hurry. There are so many things that took me years to accomplish, and I'm still learning along the way. So I would say, take your time, find something that you love, and do it with passion, but don't do it with like a rebellious kind of nature. I know sometimes we've reached a point where people think the more haters you have, like the more cool you are. But in reality, I feel like the more you work on something with good intention, you start winning people over. People will start coming around and understanding your point of view. So I feel like take your time and do the work, basically. Take your time and do the work.
And finally, the most important question. What are you doing to celebrate National Day?
I am going to dress up my daughter. I want her to feel the vibes of National Day. And I'm going to take her next to Kite Beach, where the flags are, just for her to kind of feel that energy. I feel
the lovely...
The vibes.
The vibes, exactly. And I hope that your celebrations include the legumat in them.
Of course. Like
staple.
The legumat that's filled with cheese. Do you know?
Yes.
That's just the right kind.
They are so good. Guys, if you haven't tried out the legumat with cheese. You guys are missing out. This is Amal endorsing this message. So check out the Gemat with the cheese.
There's nothing wrong.
Any parting words? Besides the cheese, Gemat? Any parting words you want to tell anybody on this special occasion?
I think enjoy it. I feel like it's up to us to create that kind of culture and the vibes for our kids, for them to enjoy this precious day. And I think this is just the beginning for all of us.
I agree. Those are just beautiful parting words. The beginning for all of us, despite it being the end of the month and the end of the year. Thank you so much, Amal, for joining me today.
Thank you.
It was great having you, great seeing your face and hearing your voice again, and hope you have a lovely and wonderful National Day.
Thank you so much.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.